Greetings. So the Bhagavad Gita is one of the central scriptures in my faith, just the mystic transcendental renunciates. And here's a commentary from Parmahansa Yogananda that is incredibly inspiring. The Blessed Lord said, "He is a true renunciate and also a true yogi who performs dutiful and spiritual actions without desiring their fruits, not he who performs no fire ceremony, sacrifice, nor he who abandons action. He is neither a sannyasi renunciate nor a yogi who is inactive, performing neither dutiful actions nor meditative actions. He is not a sannyasi renunciate who is without the fire of renunciation, whose sacrificial flames the true devotee burns all personal desires, lusts, likes, dislikes, sorrows, and pleasures. Nor is he a yogi who is without the inner sacrificial fire of meditation, kindled wisdom, in which the true yogi burns his desires and unites the fire of his concentration with the flame of God. That devotee is a yogi, one united to God, who merges the soul spark in the cosmic light by the inner fire rite of ecstatic meditation, who acts his daily part in the divine drama just to please God. That same person is also a sannyasi renunciate by relinquishing personal desires while he conscientiously performs dutiful actions." This Gita and this verse and several others reference the sannyasi uses words both in general sense of renunciation derived from the Sanskrit verb root meaning literally to cast aside, and is applicable in all specialized meanings of designating the monastic life of monks and nuns who have taken final vows of complete renunciation. The sannyasi, or man of renunciation, emphasizes the external conditions of desirelessness and non-attachment in order to maintain the consciousness of God and his activities. The yogi emphasizes the inner perception of God in meditation and ecstasy, which he then strives to carry into his daily actions. If the neophyte pursues the spiritual path principally by thinking only of God while performing spiritual activities, he is a sannyasi. If a truth seeker concentrates primarily on seeking God in meditation, he is a yogi. So I've got some volunteer philanthropy, humanitarian work, but mostly my practice is devoted to truth seeking, devoting my time to seeking God in meditation. A man made in the divine image has come on earth to play his role intelligently in the cosmic drama of destiny designed by God. The life is not man's own show. If he becomes personally and emotionally involved in the very complicated cosmic drama, he will reap invariable suffering for distorting the divine plot. To act with his self-interest and lost sight in the cosmic plan or will of God, thus upsetting the divine arrangement for man's speedy salvation. The egotist and the materialist, busily planning for fulfillment of selfish desires, remains entangled in rebirths. So once the speedy salvation takes place, complete renunciation after death states, you do not remain entangled into the hearts of your desires. The selfish, ambitious man cannot get away from the troubles of disillusionment. He is attached to his small family and excludes the world from his love. He fails to learn the sweet lesson of God, who has inspired us with affection for relatives, that we may be able, like true devotees, to love all men as our brothers. The egotist, thinking himself the doer of all actions, isolates himself from the divine. He is in fact opposing his universal law, pitting his puny strength against truth. The devotee throws all responsibility for actions on the Lord. For him it's ever God alone. The Gita stanza condemns idleness, which is erroneously equated to desirelessness. Inactivity is a state that proves man to be identified with his lowest qualities of the ego. The sluggard is worse than the man who is egotistically active. The apathetic individual turns away from God and material activities equally, thus degenerating physically, mentally, and spiritually. So I would say that that's partly me, but I had a mental illness, so what can you do? He who works with selfish desire is nevertheless developing his mind and body, or one of them, and is far superior to the spine shrinker of all duties. This verse therefore clearly defines the path of yogis renunciates, not as an escape to the wilderness, but a life of dutiful and spiritual activity without personal attachment. So I can contribute to this every day. But the The word karma in the stanza signifies all dutiful actions of external value. The instinct for self-preservation, for instance, involves physical activities. That instinct has been implanted in each person by God and nature. The man who fulfills his duties towards the body without personal interest remains bound to the wheel of rebirth. To the operations of karmic law. He escapes it when he performs all actions with the sole purpose of pleasing God, who alone is the true doer and bearer of burdens. Dutiful actions specifically are those that are from each individual based on the current level of development and karmic involvement. In order for him to strip away his consciousness of all evils of delusion, to reveal the radiant glories of the soul and thus to reclaim his lost perfection as the reflection of the image of spirit. He who performs those burdens dutiful assigned to him by God without harboring selfish desires for the fruits of those actions is a sannyasi renunciate. Conversely, he who renounces dutiful actions simply because he has relinquished the desire to be a beneficiary of the fruits of action is not a sannyasi. Good actions such as active interest in social service and other humanitarian work that are performed with any motive in the consciousness or subconscious minds other than the desire to please God are considered actions done longing for their fruits. No matter how noble the activity, if it diverts one from the supreme goal by its consequent karmic bondage, it does not belong to the category of the highest dutiful actions. The emphasis, therefore, is on renunciation, not necessarily of a life in the world, but a selfish worldly life. Such renunciation does not involve loss nor the flying away from dutiful activities, but lies in spiritualizing one's life. Every man should find and fulfill those actions that will harmoniously develop his material life, his body and mind, and above all, the qualities of his heart and soul. All honest work is good work. It is capable of leading to self-development, provided the doer seeks to discover the inherent lessons and makes the most of the potentialities for such growth. The question arises, how can a person discover his God-ordained duties? Spiritual tradition enjoins the beginner on the path of yoga should ask his guru to advise him. A guru who knows God is able to determine a man's evolutionary status and rightful duties. If for reasons of his own or for the respect of the divine secrecy pervading the phenomenal world, the guru declines to give specific advice, the student, after deep meditation, should pray, Lord, I will reason, I will act, but guide thou my reason, will, and activity to the right thing I should do. By this method, the devotee, with the guru's inner blessing, is pushed to cultivate his own soul discrimination and thereby hasten his personal attainment unto God. As the devotee progresses in meditation, he will find God directing his activities through his awakened intuition. Naturally, one should also use common sense in deciding the righteous duties connected with the discipline of his own life and the lives of those dependent upon him. Blameworthy is the performance of activities not chosen by discrimination. Such an action as a blindfold horse being led to an unknown destination by the ignorant self as it asserts its prejudiced, egotistic whims and pre-proposed ideas and habits. Every man should perform the duties involved in finding God and also worldly duties necessary to maintain himself and to help others. Regardless of hereditary environment, evolutionary status, and the highest, most important duties of every man is to establish his consciousness in the unity with God. Wow. This book is jam-packed. Gita, Commentary, Parmahansa Yogananda, 2015.